The apostate's marriage. Among the judgments pertaining to apostasy is that the marriage contract is invalidated immediately if the blasphemy took place before consummation. Okay, so we're talking about how apostasy affects a marriage. And this is the Shafi'i school here being presented. So if we use the word invalidated here, for us to immediately bring this word invalidated, in this case, it would have to mean that there wasn't any consummation of this marriage. Because apostasy does not, we are not able to say, rather, we are not able to say apostasy invalidates a consummated marriage. Just like that, period. That's not the rule. So then, since we are committing to the word invalidated here immediately, we are not talking about a consummated marriage. Apostasy obliterates a marriage that was not consummated. And why is that? As I already told you. Because, why does the fact that there's no consummation matter? So it's going to tell me now. Why does the fact that there's no consummation matter? When we say apostasy invalidates, obliterates an unconsummated marriage, why does the lack of consummation matter? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because if there is no consummation, there's no iddah, no countdown. Which means, maybe you didn't understand the point of it when we just mentioned it a few minutes ago. Why does that matter? Because the iddah is like something trailing. It's like a remnant of this marriage. It's like something still hanging on there before it loses its grip and is completely detached. So if there's no consummation, there's no iddah, it means that the marriage is over. There's nothing left to hold on to. So therefore, apostasy will immediately invalidate a marriage that is not consummated. So remember, for your rules of marriage, consummation means there's going to be an iddah in case the marriage is broken. If there's an iddah, that means there was consummation. If there were no consummation, that means there's no iddah. The woman would not be lawful for him even if the apostate returned to Islam, unless they did a new marriage contract. Yes, that's clear, inshallah. If the apostasy took place after consummation, then, let's add something for clarity here. Then, the marriage is suspended, not invalidated. It might be invalidated, but we're not able to say that here in the case of consummation. We're not able to immediately commit to that position. We have to wait and see what happens. So something's unclear. So we're not going to say it's invalidated. We're going to say it's suspended. Mawquf. If the apostate returned to Islam before the end of the countdown, then it became clear that the marriage contract remained intact. And there is no need for a new marriage contract. So then it wouldn't have been right for us to say their marriage is invalidated. Had we said here invalidated instead of suspended, then we would have said their marriage is invalidated, but if the apostate returns to Islam before the countdown is over, it would become clear that they're still married. How was it invalidated if it became clear that they're still married? It means it wasn't invalidated, so we can't say that here. However, if the iddah ended before the apostate returned to Islam, a new contract is needed because it became clear here Because so a new marriage contract is needed. Yani, he came back to Islam, he or she, because it became clear that the marriage was invalidated since the instance of apostasy. Then it became clear that the marriage was invalidated since the instance of apostasy. We weren't able to commit to that judgment without the countdown expiring before the apostate came back to Islam. Hence, the relationship between them is forbidden before he or she returns to Islam. The judgment is the same whether the husband or the wife blasphemed or apostatized. The Shaykh said so in As-Siratul Mustaqim. And the sexual intercourse would be adultery between them. And according to the Hanafis, consummation has no effect. The contract is breached, completely obliterated, consummated or not. And according to the Hanafis, the wudu is invalidated. The ghusl is nullified. The judgment of the ghusl is nullified. I don't know what the Hanafis say about his money. We're going to see what the Shafi'is say about the apostate's money. But we're still here in the marriage part. The marriage contract of an apostate is invalid. Meaning, we're not talking about a person whose apostasy occurred in his marriage. This last sentence here is about a person who is a confirmed or an established apostate and wants to get married. So, doing a marriage contract as an established apostate is just going to be invalid. It will not initiate. Whether he married an apostate like himself, or a Jew, or a Christian, or a pagan, doesn't matter. Wa subhanallahi wa bihamdih. Any question here?
Clear.
Yes?
No, I was saying clear on my side.
Okay.
Barakallahu.
Ameen wa fikum. The author says the apostate's assets, yani his money. If the apostate has assets, has money, then there are two sayings about their status, the status of those assets. One is that they remain his property, as said by Al-Muzani and Al-Mawardi. We're talking only about Shafi'i school here. So according to a saying in the Shafi'i school, the apostate retains his ownership. So you can, according to this saying, you can still deal with an apostate, sell, buy, etc., rent, etc. Not marriage, though. And not inheritance. And not eating a slaughter of an apostate. The second saying is that his assets are suspended. So now this is like the case of the marriage. Except that instead of an iddah, there's a lifespan. A lifespan. So his assets are suspended. His ownership is suspended. Meaning it's not clear for us. Does he own this money or not? This apostate? If he returns to Islam, the ruling is that his assets never cease to belong to him. Yani, it became clear that that was always his money. And if he does not, meaning that he died, so here it's not an iddah that's going to expire, it's his life that's going to expire. So he died without coming back to Islam, then the ruling is that, yani, then it became clear that his assets left his ownership since he apostatized. So that's easy to understand now, inshallah. A third ruling was said. So here's a third saying, which is that he loses ownership of his assets by the apostasy, not suspended. Yani, it's gone. He doesn't own anything anymore. According to this saying, you cannot deal with him. Al-Rafi'i said that Ash-Shafi'i said that the most accurate saying is that his possession dissolves by apostasy. His ownership. Possession here means ownership. His ownership. I like the word ownership better than possession because it's possible to possess something without owning it. If possessing means having it, having control over it, merely having control over it, yani you have it, doesn't mean you own it though. So Al-Rafi'i said that Ash-Shafi'i said that the most accurate saying is that his ownership dissolves by apostasy. And Al-Rafi'i agrees with Ash-Shafi'i here. Yani he agrees with what he logs about Ash-Shafi'i. He also says that the contract done with the slave to purchase his freedom becomes invalidated by apostasy. Interesting. The contract done with the slave to purchase his freedom becomes invalidated by apostasy. So that's called kitaba. That contract is called kitaba. Someone might call it self-purchase contract. The contract for a slave to purchase his freedom. So there is a saying here that this particular type of contract is invalidated by apostasy. Not other things, though, not a rental, for example. What if you were renting a house from someone and then he committed apostasy? Does that mean your rental is over? No. Okay. Al-Bulqini says that in that is a verification that the ownership of the apostate dissolves. Yani, yeah, we'll check that case. This means the master or either one. Right now, we are investigate this. Bismillah. We are investigating the saying that apostasy makes one's ownership dissolve. He loses the attribute of ownership. He's no longer validly described as an owner of anything by apostasy, according to this saying. So that would mean if he had a slave, the slave's not his anymore. Al-Bulqini said that in that is a verification that the ownership of the apostate dissolves. And that is what he considers correct. Al-Bulqini, you know Al-Bulqini, he's the one whose name is mentioned in the introduction of the summary of obligatory knowledge. He's a mujtahid in the Shafi'i school. Al-Bulqini says that in that is a verification, or can we move A? And that is verification that the ownership of the apostate dissolves. And that is what he considers correct. And that is what Ash-Shafi'i considers most correct. The sayings of Abu Hamid al-Isfarayini comply with that also. So, yani, this is presented as that's not a weak saying. So we have three sayings here. One is that the ownership of an apostate is unaffected by apostasy. The other is that the ownership of the apostate is suspended by apostasy in a way similar to how we talk about marriage. Except that instead of an iddah, it's a lifespan that's the countdown. And the third saying is that apostasy dissolves one's attribute of ownership altogether. He loses the status of owning anything. What is correct is to confirm all three sayings, just as mentioned in Al-Minhaj by An-Nawawi. The most accurate of these three is that his assets are suspended, as mentioned in Al-Minhaj, that's An-Nawawi. Following Al-Muharrar by Al-Rafi'i, An-Nawawi also considered that to be the correct saying in Asl al-Rawdah and in At-Tashih. Although in his two explanations, Al-Rafi'i did not convey its authenticity except from Al-Baghawi. So all these words here, you don't necessarily need those. Just That's just a documentation of scholars who said one of these sayings or another. He says, so in that case, would the slave become free automatically? I don't know. I haven't heard about this. According to all of these sayings, even the saying that his ownership is dissolved, there are still rights and issues that relate to his money, to this money, the money of the apostate, such as fulfillment of his debts and family support. So someone was an apostate. Even if we take the saying that he loses all of his ownership, we would still take from his money to pay his debts off. And we would still take from his money to support his family that he would have been obligated to support. He must also definitely pay zakat if he comes back to Islam, if it were due before apostasy. And the zakat is obligatory even if he does not return to Islam, according to the saying that his money remains his ownership. This paragraph here, maybe it might make your head spin a little bit. If so, that means you are lacking some comprehension, meaning fiqh, lacking fiqh. But if you are accustomed to fiqh, then this paragraph won't make your head spin. But I'm going to repeat though. Let me finish it first. Even according to the saying that his assets are suspended, his zakah is fulfilled from that money. According to the saying that his assets remain his ownership, then his dealings are valid as long as the judge did not freeze his assets. Okay, so we have several sayings here. Let's see them again. So, according to all of these sayings, even the saying that his ownership is dissolved, there are still rights and issues that relate to this money, such as fulfillment of his debts and family support. So it means, supposing there were a caliph or some governor, and there's a properly run Islamic government, and someone committed apostasy, then even if you took the saying that he doesn't own anything anymore, still some of that money that he used to own is going to go to his debts and to his family for the support that they originally would get. Okay, so that's one case there. Let's bullet these cases here. Here's another case. He must also definitely pay zakat if he comes back to Islam if it were due before apostasy. Yani, he had zakat on him as a Muslim. He was a Muslim who owed zakat. Then he committed apostasy. Then he comes back to Islam. Then he definitely has to pay that zakat that he didn't pay, that was on him before he committed apostasy. Okay, here's the next point. Zakat is obligatory even if he does not return to Islam, according to the saying that his money remains his ownership. So what does that mean? Means if an apostate, if a person became an apostate and he had money that is subject to zakat, then the zakat's going to get taken from his money while he's an apostate. That's what this means. His monies will be commandeered and still will be paid. The zakat will be paid. Yani if he has animals, then, or gold or silver or grains or those things that are subject to zakat, they're going to go to the recipients of the zakat anyway, even while he's an apostate. According to the saying that the money remains his ownership. Here's another point. Even according to the saying that his assets are suspended, his zakat is fulfilled from that money. So that goes with the previous. Yani, if we take the saying that his money remains his, or if we take the saying that his ownership is suspended, either of those two, because we have three sayings. One saying, he loses all of his ownership. One saying, he keeps all of his ownership. One saying, his ownership is suspended. So, if we take the saying that he keeps his ownership, or if we take the saying that his ownership is suspended, the zakat is still going to be taken from his money. Now, and according to this, if he comes back to Islam, he does not have to make up that zakat. Next point, according to the saying that his assets remain his ownership, then his dealings are valid as long as the judge did not freeze his assets. Okay, so that's 4 cases here. Abu Zur'a logged the summary of all of these cases from Al-Isnawi. Yani, here's a synopsis. Concerning support and debts, his assets have the ruling of what remained his ownership. Yani, any support that he was supposed to pay, any debts that he had to pay, it's going to be as if he never lost his ownership. Concerning the assets being frozen by the verdict of a judge, then his assets have the judgment of that which was confiscated from his possession. Yani, if the judge freezes his assets, bars him from dealing, then this must mean that he retained his ownership. Anyway, this would have to mean that he kept possession, he kept ownership of his money in order for the judge to freeze his assets in the first place. So when his assets get frozen by the Muslim judge, then they would have the judgment of confiscated money. Yeah, and even if he still has it, it's like it's confiscated though. Concerning the assets remaining his ownership in other than what was just mentioned, there are 3 sayings. There are the 3 sayings. Concerning the assets remaining his ownership in other than what was just mentioned. So none of the above here. His assets, not concerning anything just mentioned up above here, and saying that, yeah, and other than these cases, then there are 3 sayings. The 3 sayings we already talked about. One saying is he loses his ownership. One saying is he retains his ownership. One saying is his ownership is suspended. Now, concerning the zakat, there are 2 sayings. One is that the zakat is due on this apostate's money. Yani, and they're going to take it and pay it. The other is that if he comes back to Islam, it is due. According to the sayings that his ownership was dissolved and that his assets were frozen. And if he does not come back to Islam, then it is not due because those assets did not become the ownership of anyone in particular. Hopefully that's clear for you. For this reason, Ash-Shafi'i did not document that the zakat is absolutely not due on the money of the apostate. He said, I have not seen anyone who has been as precise in this issue as I have been. Ash-Shafi'i said, I haven't seen anyone who has been as precise in this issue as I have been. The issue of the apostate's money in relation to zakat. And what's the statement here? Is Ash-Shafi'i boasting? No. He's just stating a fact. He's saying, what I'm saying to you is most accurate, most detailed, most researched in this case that I have seen. He said, I haven't seen anyone more accurate in this issue than I have been. After death, the apostate's assets become part of the Muslim treasury, whether he's executed or not. Yani, if there were a Muslim treasury, now there is not a Muslim treasury because there is no properly run Islamic government. I don't know why some people think Saudi is a properly run Islamic government. Whether he were executed or not, after his death, his assets will go to the treasury, and they will be spent on the welfare of the Muslims. This is if the Muslim treasury were intact. If not, like today, then a pious Muslim who is able to collect those assets and spend them on the welfare of the Muslims does so. Okay. And someone like Sheikh Hussam, for example, if he were able to take that apostate's money and then spend it in the proper avenues, then he would do so. The Muslim does not inherit from his dead apostate relative. There is consensus that the apostate does not inherit from his dead Muslim relative. Look how that's worded there. The Muslim does not inherit from his dead apostate relative, and there's a consensus that the apostate does not inherit from his dead Muslim relative, meaning there's a saying that it goes back and forth. Neither inherits from the other. And there's a saying that it doesn't go back and forth, that the Muslim can get from the inheritance of the apostate, but the apostate can't get from the inheritance of the Muslim. What did the Prophet say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is a proof for many cases? Al-Islamu ya'la wa la yu'la. Islam dominates and is not dominated. It means Islam is always given the advantage and is never given the disadvantage. Scholars use this hadith for many cases. If the hypocrite outwardly shows blasphemy, then he is dealt with as an apostate, although he is not actually an apostate, since he was not previously a Muslim. Yani, this last paragraph here is really out of the title. It needs its own title, which is cases, those who are like the apostate, those who are annexed to the apostate, those who are not real apostates, but they have the judgment of an apostate, those annexed to the rule of the apostate. Wa subhanallahi wa bihamdih. Okay, those annexed to the rule of the apostate. This means they are not, this is not about the true apostate as we have been speaking, but someone who's just going to have the same rules as an apostate. If the hypocrite, the munafiq, outwardly shows blasphemy, then he is dealt with as an apostate, although he is not actually an apostate, since he was not previously a Muslim. Meaning, who's the hypocrite? He's the one who knows he's not a Muslim, but he shows himself to be. So he made us think he was a Muslim. He appeared to us as a Muslim. He came around to us. And he, like, for example, he prayed before us. He dressed like a Muslim, etc. Maybe he even will say the Shahada. And he knows in his own heart that he's not a Muslim. So this one, he's not a Muslim. But we don't know that. And then he outwardly shows blasphemy afterwards. So now he is displaying kufr. Is he an apostate? No. Why? Because he was never a Muslim. So why are we going to call him an apostate then, or judge him as one? Because he showed us that he was a Muslim. And we were judging him as a Muslim. We applied the judgment of Islam to him, though he didn't really deserve it. So when he commits blasphemy, we will then apply to him the rules of apostasy. So this would be a kafir pretending to be a Muslim? Yes, exactly. That's munafiq. There's two kinds. One kind is this one, the one who is merely pretending, knowing that he is not a Muslim. And when someone's like that, is really, he has deep hatred for Islam. Then there's another one. He is skeptical. He's a skeptic. Means that he's not really a believer. Because skeptic means, maybe it's right, maybe it's not right. So why he's going to be a skeptic, yet he still shows us that he is a faithful Muslim? Because he's a hypocrite too. So there's two types. That's hypocrite in creed, in conviction. Hypocrite in conviction. Not hypocrite in action. Hypocrite in action is a different kind of hypocrite. A person could be firm in his conviction while he's a hypocrite in his action. What makes him a hypocrite in his action? He's a liar. He's a promise breaker, and other things. Also, the blasphemer who accepts the Islamic rulership, yani there was a caliphate, and he accepted to pay the jizya and to be a citizen of the Islamic law, of the Islamic rule. So he was a non-Muslim citizen. This one, so he's non-Muslim. He is safe. He's not harassed, and he is not forced to change his religion. But if he changes from one blasphemous religion to another, then he has the judgment of an apostate. Meaning that nothing is accepted from him except Islam, or else he will be executed. So that's part of what he agrees to, basically. There is a caliphate. and he qualified for the jizya so that he could be a citizen, a non-Muslim citizen. What a privilege too. Don't get that twisted. Just the fact that he doesn't have to pay taxes is going to be enough for him. So part of his agreement is that he cannot change his religion unless he changes it to Islam. So if he changes religion, so he's not a Muslim, but if he changes religion to another religion other than Islam under this rulership here, under this agreement, with this citizenship that he has, then he will take the judgment of an apostate. Hold on. So then he will take the judgment of an apostate in that case, and he will be executed. And the book is complete by the help of Allah. Wa subhanallahi wa bihamdi. MashaAllah. Barak. Congratulations. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I want to read this, not today. I want to read this grammar and transliteration / transcription section here with you. This will help you to be able to sift through some of the things in the book, inshallah. It's very brief here. And before we move on to a new book, we just still have some footnotes to cover so that we can make sure the book is complete. All the footnotes and everything have been read. So, Bismillah. Bismillah.
Sheikh?
Yes.
Just going back to the point you made about the munafiq who's a skeptic.
Yes.
Would that be someone, is that someone like who embraces Islam or shows that he has Islam, but then...
Yeah, he shows that he's a Muslim.
He shows he's a Muslim, okay.
Yeah, but a Muslim is what? He's a mu'min, he's a believer, he's firm, he has yaqeen, certainty.
Okay, so at which point would you say he becomes a skeptic? Like,
he's a skeptic because he's not sure in his own heart. He knows his own skepticism.
Right, but outwardly we wouldn't know that.
Yeah, we don't know. He doesn't show it to us.
Okay, so until he actually says something or does something that makes it apparent.
Then we're just going to be saying he's a Muslim because that's what he shows to us. Imagine a person, he puts qalun sawa on his head, wears khufs, comes to Jumu'ah, makes wudu.
Right.
Maybe hangs out at the Masjid al-Musalla sometimes. He's on the sidewalk talking with the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And you think he's a Muslim, really in his heart he's a skeptic. Allah knows his secret in his heart.
Okay. Got it. Barakallahu feek.
Ameen wa feek. Even the Prophet ﷺ, he did not know who the hypocrites were without getting revelation about it. But the interesting thing is that the hypocrites at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, though they were not believing in him, they were always afraid that he was going to get revelation and expose them. So as you can see here, we still have some brown footnotes. These brown footnotes need to be covered to complete the book, inshallah. So we'll cover these footnotes, inshallah, and then we'll move on. Any question?
I have a question, but not... It is related to Aqidah, but not related to this topic, kind of.
Okay, go ahead.
It's regarding the creating of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know how we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates everything from eternal? And then when it comes to the human's actions, every moment of the life, it's created then. Like, it's created for them. Like, if I want to stand up, that standing up created for me.
Yes.
So how do I correlate that to an eternal creating? Like,
yeah, it means that
already eternal created for me?
How we explain that is by saying Allah has Allah willed in eternity for something to happen at some point in time. So whatever's going to happen tomorrow, Allah willed for it in eternity. That's the time that he willed for it to manifest. That's the time that he willed for it to come into existence. So he has the eternal will, the eternal creating, and the created things themselves are appearing in time at the time that he willed for them.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Your voice was cutting.
Yes. We say Allah has the eternal will and the eternal creating and the eternal power. That means without a beginning, and it does not change. And as for the created things, they are coming into existence in the times that he willed in eternity. So he in eternity willed for something to happen today, and in eternity he willed for something to not happen today but to happen tomorrow. So whatever he willed to happen tomorrow is not going to happen today. He didn't will for that in eternity. It will manifest at the time that he willed for it to actually appear. It's just like even
Okay, so what are...
let me give you this example. Just like even the fact that your hunger is satisfied. Who creates the satisfaction of the hunger? It's not the food that creates, it's Allah who creates. So he willed in eternity for you to eat today and get full today. Doesn't mean that his will changed or his power changed or his creating changed. It's just that this particular event of your being full or satisfied or satiated, it was willed, it was designated with appearing today, for example.
So you're saying even who's... We know that everything is eternal, and if someone is going to the hellfire, that was eternally created for him, right?
That's correct.
So how can a person... What can a person do not to go to the hellfire if that was already
Obey
eternally...
Allah. If it was willed for him to go to hell, he will not avoid it. But the thing is that he will go there by his own actions. If it's eternally willed for him to go to hell, it means that it was eternally willed for him to choose to do is going to make him go there.
So basically, Allah is the one who's gonna deserve hellfire and who's gonna deserve
Well, he is the creator of
paradise,
everything.
right? But
But
then...
don't forget, what's one of his creations? We had this discussion before. One of his creations is something called choice.
Mhm. Okay, the choice here is still the choice is created.
Yeah, it
So
has a meaning.
where is the
It is
human
created, but it has a
option?
meaning. Like, for example, if I say to you, Allah created something called a cat. And then if I say to you, what's a cat? You're going to tell me, cat, that's feline. Means has like this, his claws are like this, his ears like this, it has the balance and the speed. That's what a cat is. That's what it means. Allah created that. So I'm saying, okay, yes. So then I would say, choice. What does that mean? You say choice means that the person will spend his own power on doing something he wants to do. That's what that means. So I'm going to say, yeah, Allah created that too.
I know, but my question here
Yeah.
is that if everything is created by Allah and permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where is the human's judgment here? Like, we are basically following and doing whatever Allah created for us. Even our choice is created.
Even our choice is created, but it is a choice, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
it's a choice though,
okay,
right?
it's a choice, but it's created
Okay.
by Allah.
Yeah,
It
well,
is not...
it's
we
not going to
don't
be
have
able to
power
exist.
over it.
It's not going to be able to exist if Allah didn't create it. So
Correct.
amongst the things that Allah created some things that are subject to our created power. Things that are subject to our created power are still created by Allah. Allah
So
created us and gave us the power to choose to do things.
from what I understand is that since Allah knows everything and knows His
Mm-hmm.
creation, He's the power,
Mm-hmm.
have power over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he created things that deserves to, like, He created humans that deserves to go to the paradise, and
Yes.
created humans
Yeah.
that doesn't
It came
deserve
in the
to go.
hadith. It came in the hadith that Allah Ta'ala, before He created the bodies of the humans, He created the souls. And He divided those souls into two parts. And He said, these shall be in paradise. and I do as I will, and these shall be in hell, and I do as I will.
Okay, so now in the day of judgment, why do we have day of judgment if Allah is the one who's going to decide uh, for
Because
for these
you know what
souls?
my answer is going to be. Tell me what I'm going to answer to you.
Uh-huh.
Tell me how I'm going to answer that question for you.
I think because those people who's going to enter hellfire is going to have to see why.
My answer to
Uh,
you is because they acted by their own choice.
yes, but their own choice is created by Allah.
Okay, so
Allah is the one who.
then pause here. I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you where's your issue. Then you are like
Mm-hmm.
the person who is in the report of Imam Ali. Somebody was asking Ali about destiny, and Ali was avoiding answering him, but the man insisted. So Ali said to him, "Amma idha abayt, since you insist, فإنه أمر بين أمرين." Then know that. Sorry, I missed one thing. The person was asking Ali, and Ali was avoiding the topic. And Ali said to this man, Sirrullahi fala tatakallaf. It means it is the secret of Allah. Don't indulge. But the person insisted. So Ali said to him, Amma idha abayt. Since you insist, فَإِنَّهُ أَمْرٌ بَيْنَ أَمْرَيْنِ. Then know that it is a matter between two matters. لا جبر ولا تفويض. It's not being forced, but it's also not having complete control. It's neither of those. It's neither being forced, neither is it though having complete control. It's a mixture. It's a blend of those. This is, the scholar said, this is the closest you're going to get to understand this issue. You cannot go past this. What I'm saying to you right here is the limit. If you try to go past there, you will probably go misguided. You'll probably go misguided because you can't go further. Yani, there's two things we can conceive and confirm. One of them is that Allah is the creator of everything, right? We confirm that for sure. Allah is
No.
the creator of everything, yes. We
Yes.
confirm that by definitive evidence. But we have also something we can confirm by definitive evidence, which is that we have a choice. How we confirm that by definitive evidence? By observation. By observation. Not to mention, add, you don't know what Allah willed. So that's why you could never use the will of Allah as an excuse. Like you're asking, if Allah willed for the person to go to hell, he can't escape. So how does he have a judgment? One answer is to say he didn't know what Allah willed. So when he chose what he chose, he made the choice without knowing what Allah willed. Rather, what did he know though? He knew what Allah forbade him from doing and what Allah commanded him to do. He knew that Allah commanded him to be a Muslim, but he chose not to be one. He knew that Allah forbade him from drinking the alcohol, for example, but he chose to drink it anyway. He knew what he was commanded to do, he knew what he was forbidden to do, and he chose to do different from that. So, so he's going to be yani. So he cannot use the will of Allah as an excuse because he never knew what Allah willed for him. Why he didn't make a better choice? Like right now, I'm talking to you now. We're having this discussion. Maybe after I have this discussion with you, then you're going to go about your business and you're going to find yourself in some situation. You're going to say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this. Which one I'm going to do now? I better make a best decision because I don't want to go to hell. So let me make a good decision right here. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because Allah gave us choice. You don't know what He willed for you. So you need to make the right choice in the time. And each moment when you have the choice to do something, that's your test there. Yani, when you choose the wrong thing, then you're going to say, oh no, It was willed for me. It was my destiny to make this bad choice. It was my destiny meant to make this bad choice. Next time, I'm going to make a conscious decision to make a good choice so that when I do make that good choice, I'll be able to say, Alhamdulillah, it was destined for me to make a good choice. Then you keep making good choices every time, consistently. And then you're going to say, Subhanallah, Allah had mercy on me. He enabled me to make good choices. Then you're going to find yourself a winner in the afterlife, and you will say, Allah had mercy on me. He's the one who guided me to choose to do good things. Another one's going to say in the afterlife, Allah forsook us. He did not will for us to choose the good for ourselves. In the afterlife, they are going to say, the people who go to hell, they will say, now destiny is upon us. What they mean is, now here we are, there's no going back. Now we are at the gates of hell. There is no going back from here. Destiny is upon us. We have found ourselves in an unescapable situation. Yani, the meaning is that they will be recognizing their own bad choices. They're not going to blame. They themselves are not, at that moment when they are entering through the gates of hell, they're not going to say, why God didn't will for me. They're going to say, I made the bad decisions.
Okay.
MashaAllah.
Barakallahu feek.
Ameen wa feek. You said a choice could include not repenting. Yeah. Person chooses not, just and changing one's actions. This is a choice. Choice is going to be to get up out the bed or not get out the bed. I need to do something or not do something. Which way are you going to go to the store? You're going to cross the street right here? You're going to go down the street first and then make the corner. Those are all choices. When you think, and also let me remind you this here, sister. While we know what we are saying here about the destiny, because the Prophet taught us that, if you remove this knowledge from a person, then for him, from his own perspective, he is choosing to do whatever he wants to do. So he does not have the will of God as an excuse. For him, he's just doing what he wants to do anyway, in his own perspective. Isn't it? Yeah. So he's not going to have the will of God as an excuse, but God did will for him to be like that. In reality, he's unaware of that because he doesn't follow what's right anyway. He doesn't follow the Prophet. Had we not followed the Prophet, we may be also unaware of the destiny that one is unaware of. We have an advantage that we knew about destiny because we followed the Prophet, and then that taught us to be diligent to make good decisions.
So just like a child and a mother, the mother watches the child to see what choices the child is making, and the mother is either avoiding it for them or allowing it for them.
Sometimes even a human would leave a person to do something to see what he will choose to do. But Allah knows what we're going to choose to do. And let me remind you too, what helps maybe make this clear for you. Remember, there's something called qadar mu'allaq, pending destiny. What does it mean? It means that there are issues that Allah knows. We don't know. Allah knows. If you do this, then what's going to follow is something. But if you do differently, then something else will follow. This we learned it in our religion. This also makes more clear for you that we do really have a choice. But whatever choice you make at any instant is the only choice you would make at that instant. Having the knowledge of destiny will encourage you, help you to make proper decision. If you are smart, I remind myself. Meaning, this pending destiny means what? Allah would reveal to some of the angels that if Fulan does such and such, then this is what will happen. And if he does such and such, then that's what will happen. And even the angels don't know. They only know that one or the other is going to happen. They don't know which one. And they go with their records. They have records that something's going to happen. And then they go and observe. They don't know what's going to happen. And then they see which one happens and they cross out the one that doesn't happen. This is called pending destiny. Then they take their records back up to the guarded tablet and find what's in the guarded tablet is an exact match to their records. Mu'allaq means like hanging destiny. So I like to say pending. It's waiting. Something waiting. It's going to happen or it's not going to happen. Allah knows. We don't know. So we really, really do have a real choice. Naam, barakallahu fikum. Also, Imam al-Tahawi, in the Aqeedah of al-Tahawi, he said about destiny, it is sirrullah, it is the secret of God. Why is like that? Why is that its case? What makes it the secret of God? Because there's something that our minds can't put together, which is there's two things that our minds can confirm but can't put them together. Two things that our minds can confirm, but our minds are unable to fuse both of them together. One of them is that Allah is the creator of everything. Our minds confirm this. The other is that we have a choice. Our minds confirm this because we can observe it. Observation is definitive evidence. Anyone who denies observation is an utter fool. So we have choice. It's observable. So Allah is the creator of everything. That has definitive evidence. It's acceptable. We have a choice to act. That has definitive evidence. It's observable, so that's acceptable. How do we put those two together? We can't. Our minds will stop. Can't go further. So then all you can do is confirm both of them and stop there. If you try to go further, you will probably go astray. Or you'll become confused. And then the devil will haunt you.
Barakallahu feek for the answer, by the way.
Ameen wa feek. May Allah have mercy on the Shaykh, rahimahullah. He's the one who taught us this knowledge. SubhanAllah.
I don't know how Mu'tazilas argue this. I don't know how they argue this. I'm not where they're confused.
So what's going to happen when a person doesn't understand this issue properly is that either he's going to believe that he creates his own actions, or he's going to believe that Allah forces him to do everything and he doesn't have a choice. So that's why a person has to stop in this case. It's something where a person can't go further. The safe place is to confirm that Allah creates everything and to confirm that you have a choice also to act and that you are accountable for your actions. وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَبِحَمْدِهِ